silence, stagecraft, and sic semper tyrannis stretches the bounds of plausibility. Mayhap confirms something darker. Scenes got more shadows than sense. The Parker predicament, protection gone pathetically. A wry Lincoln biographer, Carl Sandburg, described Parker as the drab, well-meaning, lackadaisical, muddle-headed wanderer who played the part of a stranger cipher, a weird and elusive Mr. Nobody-at-all, a player of a negation. Behold the magnificent tapestry of American competence, woven with threads of nepotism, incompetence, and alcohol. A veritable masterpiece that would make Machiavelli weep with laughter. Just over a week before Abraham Lincoln's theatrical exit from the mortal stage, one John Frederick Parker was elevated to the sublime position of presidential bodyguard. The appointment of this gem of law enforcement arrived courtesy of Mary Todd Lincoln, who possessed that peculiar feminine genius for transforming gut instincts into administrative catastrophes. On April 3, 1865, the First Lady penned a missive on White House stationery. Note the delicious irony of official letterhead authorizing unofficial nepotism, declaring Parker fit for executive protection. One can only imagine her reasoning. Why, he shares a surname with my dear departed relatives. Surely this is Providence herself speaking through the medium of coincidental nomenclature. Whether this was nepotism, naivete, or sheer bad karma remains open to interpretation. The Parker connection reads like a genealogical fever dream, worthy of a Kentucky bourbon hallucination. Some historical gossip suggests Mary may have been related to Parker through her mother's side, a sprawling web of Parkers in Kentucky who seem to have had an unhealthy obsession with naming their sons John, as if that would confuse death when it came collecting. Mary Todd's family tree grew Johns like a particularly prolific orchard. John Parker, the great-uncle, another John Parker, the son, and Johns stretching back through generations like a genetic stutter. Whether our hero, John Frederick, belonged to this august lineage remains as murky as a Mississippi riverbank, but the name resonated with Mary Todd like a tuning fork struck by destiny. She even wrote letters exempting him from military service, because nothing says family values like keeping your possibly maybe cousin safe while other men's sons march off to die. But even if John Frederick Parker had been Mary's long-lost half-brother, twice removed and hopefully returned, his record should have disqualified him from guarding anything more sacred than a piss-pot. What a specimen she had chosen. Officer Parker's personnel file read like a criminal's resume written by a satirist. Since joining Washington's Metropolitan Police in 1861, he had compiled a record that would impress a pirate, conducting brothel inspections that were more recreational than regulatory, discharging firearms with artistic abandon because he could, sleeping off binges on public streetcars, and seasoning his official duties with language that would make a longshoreman blush. The department reprimanded him repeatedly, but never quite managed to fire him, a testament to either bureaucratic inertia or the protective power of political connections. Here, we encounter democracy's most delicious paradox. A nation founded on the principle that all men are created equal, yet somehow managing to place its most precious leader under the protection of its most worthless citizen, a man whose only reliable instinct was to abandon his post whenever duty called, usually in favor of a bar or a bordello. Whether Mary acted out of sentimental loyalty, genealogical guesswork, or simply flipped open a phone book to pee and pointed, we may never know. But one has to wonder, did she really believe Parker was fit for duty, or was she just hoping the man with her great-uncle's name wouldn't shoot himself in the foot? Again? The Secret Service did not yet exist. Lincoln was protected under the tried-and-failed, hope-for-the-best model of presidential security. Assignments like Parker's usually passed through military channels, with figures like Secretary of War Edwin Stanton or counter-espionage Czar Lafayette Baker having the final say, those stalwart guardians of national security who apparently possessed all the investigative acumen of a myopic mole. Did they perhaps glance at his record of professional misconduct? The historical silence suggests either criminal negligence or something far more interesting. Come April 14th, the night of Lincoln's fateful theater outing, Parker lived down to expectations. He showed up late, a consistent theme, stayed briefly, barely, and then wandered off to the bar next door, leaving the president to enjoy his final theatrical performance. Parker eventually stumbled into the police station the following morning at 6 a.m. in the delightful company of an intoxicated prostitute, looking less like a disgraced public servant and more like the punchline to a very dark joke. One can only admire his dedication to law enforcement, or perhaps his unique interpretation of protecting and serving. The aftermath unfolds like a bureaucratic ballet choreographed by lunatics. Parker was charged with neglect of duty on May 3rd, tried without transcripts, because why preserve evidence of such exquisite incompetence, and had his case dismissed on June 2nd. During wartime, desertion merited death by firing squad, yet our Parker merely faced administrative disapproval. He remained on the force until August 13th, when he was finally dismissed for the comparatively minor offense of sleeping on duty. Apparently, abandoning the president to assassins was forgivable, but napping during regular patrol was beyond the pale. The coup de grace? Despite his role in Lincoln's death, Parker continued working White House security until 1868, a privilege typically reserved for officers of sterling reputation. He vanished from the historical record precisely when Edwin Stanton left office, which was either the most convenient coincidence in American history or evidence that someone finally cleaned house. As if by magic, Parker disappeared from public life. Vanished. Poof. Either assassinated, absconded, or raptured by divine embarrassment. John Frederick Parker, a man who proved that in America, even the most spectacular failure can be rewarded with continued employment, pension benefits, and a mysterious disappearance that suggests either violent retribution or a very comfortable retirement. He remains a towering monument to the democratic principle that any citizen, no matter how spectacularly unqualified, can rise to positions of ultimate responsibility, and that sometimes the most important job in the nation is left to the least important man. John Frederick Parker was the Schrodinger's cop of American history, both a tragic accident and a cosmic joke. Whether his appointment was corruption, coincidence, conspiracy, or all three, the result was the same: a president assassinated and a nation stunned.